people are just so afraid because of what we're taught. You know what I mean? It's almost like when you talk about like religion. I often say that like you get programmed the dogma, and so certain times people don't even want to ask questions because they get taught to ask questions is wrong. So even we talk about like the non-monogamy thing, like I feel like there's a lot of people who, because if you look at the schematic, you're telling me that we're expected to be in one, we're expected to find one soulmate, and then we're supposed to be with said soulmate for eternity and only be attracted to that said soulmate, only want sex from that said, and that never made sense to me. And then, like I said, like guys and girls, we get what's the word? The A word, not accumulated. We get, I can't think of the word, but I'm gonna say condition, but now stimulate, not stimulate. I can't think of the word right now, but differently. So most times, like that's why I hate the term hoe. Like, you know what I mean? I don't believe in the word hoe. So it's like, but most times a guy, we could be as much of a hoe as we want, and many guys understand specifically that you can have sex with this girl and not have any romantic ties, but you both would just have that attraction and not necessarily, and you can move on to the next. But for whatever reason, that concept, they can't get that a woman can have it. So so even that, and that's just the bare bones of it. So then we get into relationships with two people. Even if you're feeling like, I don't want to lose you, that's where a lot of this cheating comes from. People are lying to each other because they really are afraid to have the conversation of, I'm just curious about just a little play, but I love you though. I just want to be with you. I just want to play a little bit. And it's the controlling
and it's
nature.
not even,
we get taught to love to control, and that's a bad thing.
Yeah. I think it definitely, like, and I mean, I think we kind of went into this on the episode a little bit, but like it does, a lot of it stems from, I don't know, actually we didn't get into this, is when romanticism became a thing, back in like the, I don't know, 1700s, don't quote me, whenever Shakespeare came out and all that, like, I don't know. Like there was just this big.
Wait, pause. I just love that statement. And whenever Shakespeare came out,
like everyone got in, like everyone started feeling as though, oh gosh, you know, like this is what needs to happen. Like this is what I desire. This is what, because before then, I mean, this is also in that book that I was talking about. What's it called? It's whatever that book is. I forget. It's not the one. Actually, both of the books. Dude, why can't I think about it? I was literally talking about in the other episode. The Ethical Slut, and then whatever the other book was. But it does dive into, like, you know, pre-romanticism and how it was a lot more common for what we consider now as non-monogamy to take place and then not be considered this sinful thing. But I think also the rise in agriculture was another thing, because people were now wanting to own their own properties. So that became a thing where they were, you know, owning property and having ownership over something translated into owning people. Slavery, everything, like all that, like it just, like there was just this obsession with owning things and like wanting things for themselves, and like, you know, you can't cross this line because if so, then it's mine, and you know, I don't want you on, you know, like stuff like that. And I think that even in like the whole context of, you know, marriage right now, what it originally was designed for is no longer what is seen or like what is desired at the moment. Or I should say this, there's certain things I know that, at least in marriage back then, it was to make sure that the wife, quote unquote, was taken care of by the guy or the husband who had property. Like it all depended on how much land the husband had. That kind of was like, you know, how wealthy.
But
that's how they measured wealth.
The undercurrent still remains within the power dynamics of men and women, and like no matter what, like even before we even get into, like you say, where you can say the dawn of romanticism, when you start looking at man feeling like it's a man's world, the supremacy, the patriarchy, that's what I'm trying to say. When you throw the patriarchy into the mix, the woman became part of the romanticized property. You know what I mean? Like she might not have been like the cattle and all this, but since it all leans to the patriarchy anyway, she becomes that too. Because you could look at, even we look at the marriage stats. What marriage stats have been saying it all for decades, and they've gotten the worse. The more agency women have been having, the worse marriage stats have been getting.
Yep.
And they've fallen into this middle. It's like really 50%. It's really even over the years. It's even kill 50%. It go up and down, but it don't leave that range of, if you get married, it's a 50-50 chance. And that tells me that that's a lot of people very interested in, they don't know it yet, in ethical non-monogamy.
Yeah. And also, I think they were saying it's kind of like, okay, if you think about it in the standards of, you know, let's say you're getting on a plane and there's a 50% chance that you might crash because of, you know, the pilot. Like, if you knew that, would you want to, you know, even like get on the plane in the first place? So it's like, why are people getting married knowing that there's a 50% chance that it may not work?
And that's why I go back into the reason why it won't work is because back to how we get taught to deal with relationships. I often felt like we date like, if you get a girlfriend or boyfriend these days, it's like a pre-marriage. And I feel like that shouldn't be the gig. Like, you should be able to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend and still be allowed, quote unquote, to talk to other people. Like, that's not the way society is, but that should be society. And then within whoever you're talking to, you can make an actual decision. Like, you know what? I really want to be with this person if you're going to go the monogamous route, or in a world where non-monogamy is accepted, or as long as everything's on the level, y'all agree to what you agree to, you know. But as long as we have these stigmas, there's things that people won't even entertain publicly, even if inside they know, they feel it, or they get it, or they just realize something's wrong here. There's something wrong. There's something wrong with how marriage is now, but no one wants to discuss what it is or why it is.
Right, because it's tradition, and people are most folks, they're not comfortable with change. They're not comfortable with evolution, even though it's something that is inevitable. Evolution is going to happen no matter what. There's still lots of us that are not preparing themselves for it, I should say. Like, because they think that it's going to remain the same, but nothing was ever meant to remain the same. And in terms of non-monogamy, like, in a way, it was a thing before people thought, like, we're just returning to something that we used to do, you know? It's not like it was something that is never
present in cultures all over the world.
Yeah. And, you know, I feel like, and I mean, I was talking about, I had another episode I did on the entanglement situation with Jada and Will and August.
That was a conversation.
Yeah, I did. I think that was a Patreon episode, so not everybody really like listened to it, like talking about. But I kind of went into that. You know, I think
I was just saying that was a conversation just in general. That topic was so.
And it's always
everybody had all these hot takes.
Anytime when it comes to the Smiths, for some reason, since I guess they found out that they got their first whiff, the media got their first whiff of like realizing that, oh, maybe Jada and Will are in an open relationship. They have been on their back since then. And everybody, the media people that follow them, like they have been they've been trying to make it seem as though they're cheating on each other, but they're not. Like, they've literally said that they've had these conversations with each other time and time again, like, and you could see just in the way that they talk to each other, it's so open. And I mean, a lot of people admire them as a couple because of that, but I think some of them, like, they still admire them, but it's like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, some of them are still under the premise that they don't understand how they can be so cool with each other and do the things that they're doing at the same time. It's almost like it's foreign to them because they've never seen it before. It's never been something that's been presented to them before. But you literally have two celebrities that are together that are showing you that it is possible. And their children are like great people.
But it's so much that goes into it, because again, you're talking about something that people are not used to, so it's not normalized yet. People look at them as this heralded couple, and then once that whip happened, I don't know if it was to their betterment or not, but maybe they should have just said, yes, this is what it is earlier, because it gave people so much time to wonder and come up with their own bullshit. Because I felt mad about the situation up for years. We saw Will attach all kind of women, and people didn't really blink much. But the one time that's like if you want to focus on anything about that situation, focus on maybe like that she was supposed to mentor this guy. If that's your issue, if she's supposed to mentor August and then she got caught up with that, that's an issue. But if you just talk about her having sex with another guy, but you never had no issues with Will having sex, men and women were doing this. And I was like, y'all, there's no one's, why y'all keep saying the word cheating? No, they are, because funny enough, my brain opened to non-monogamy when the first time I ever got cheated on. I got cheated on in my relationship. And it's so funny because at the beginning of that relationship, I had cheated on her, but that's before I was taking it seriously. Because like I said, because honestly, I've always felt like a naturally non-monogamous person. You know what I mean? So even before I would even get in a relationship, I would tell women all the time if I was dealing with, look, you're not the only, I was never the guy front like you the one and only. I would say like, look,
you be straight up and tell them you're not the only one.
Straight up. So when I got in that particular relationship, it was at a time where I cut off all these people and like, I'm about to finally do this relationship thing. Let me try to do what I was supposed to. But I still have these lingering, I'm not perfect fuck ups. But but early I cut it. You know what I mean? So with this relationship, years go by, and I knew when I was getting with this girl, she was the person that was a little bit sheltered. I might have been her second boyfriend. So to a degree, I was like, man, I feel like she might want to have a little fun at some point. I just had a feeling that it might happen. Something told me that. So at a point when she cheated on me, at first I was mad with the woo, but then I got to the bones of what I told you of. Am I mad? Is it an ego thing? Am I more mad because of the act of what she did, or am I more mad because of the deception and everything else associated with that? Because if I can understand as Mr. Playboy when I was in that world of I can have sex with this one, and this one, and I ain't nobody's boyfriend. That's with, you know what I mean? That's the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Y'all can have a living, breathing dildo too. So it's just like it's just one of those things of like getting beyond that. And so when me and her, like that whole situation, we got closer. We actually got closer off of that situation because it felt like, oh, you like, because I always felt like, okay, I got a little dirt on my hands, but you dirty too. Oh, we're human.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
You know, and that opened up that whole thought process of just accepting that, because it's a lot of men have issues with it because of the complex of y'all get taught. It's weird. Y'all get kind of taught to be prepared to get cheated on. Guys, we get taught for the longest that all pretty women are just going to be these angels. Like, and that's why when that's coming so detrimental when a guy gets cheated on, because for whatever reason he didn't build in his head that women don't do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there's so many norms that we just got to upend and just really look at each other as we all the same. We just got to you
have to admit to it. The self-awareness. Yes. You got to be self-aware. You got to self-reflect. There's so much you have to do internally to realize that before you can even approach that with somebody else in a way that, and I mean, I think obviously cheating is kind of like one of those in your face. It happens like you're not necessarily ready to, like your self-awareness may not already be there when it happens, but it does, like you said, it forces you to do that. It forces you to, you know, think about your own self-awareness and reflecting on like, okay, what about this situation has me actually upset versus, I think like for me, it was the same way. And I think I mentioned this on the episode, but like the other episode, I mean, I realized that even with me, when I got cheated on, like, I was not upset with the act or like what was happening. Like it was the fact that it was hidden from me, that it was, you know, it was a secret. I hated that. And that's what ate me up inside. And I mean, and the funny thing was like, we had talked about it beforehand. We had talked about even opening up our relationship before all of this even transpired. So for us to even backtrack more by him cheating, it was like, you could have just been honest with me.
You could have kept it 100, because that's the whole point. We won't open it up because we're aware of the fact that we might have other attractions and whatnot. But it's you, because y'all touched on a very clear thing on that episode of, to be non-monogamous takes more trust than anything else. Like you learn that when you look up swinger culture, when you look up any of that within it, it's like people just think, oh, it's about everybody fucking everybody. No. You know what I mean? For you to, there's a certain level of trust, intimacy, and vulnerability and everything that you got to have with your partner to be able to trust them to be with someone else, and to, you still are on the pedestal, you still number one, and you still, you know, that's a lot. So
exactly.
Couples that are able to do that have another level.
They're strong. They're so strong.
Man, people underestimate that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But
so, yeah, man. And you made me laugh too on that episode. Because I ain't gonna say laugh, but I don't know, coming from my perspective on like just my history of dating, and just I got a lot of stories. But you said that the guy that you had the crush on, that you told about, he wasn't into it because you had a guy. And I was like thinking, like, wait a minute, like I would think that would be some guy's ideal situation. It's like, well, she has a boyfriend, so it's like I could be boyfriend number two. I could be over here, you know.
He didn't want to be boyfriend number two.
No, I was like, whoa.
But
whoa.
And he wasn't the only one. Like, he was the first one, obviously. But I have approached others as well. Just like showing them, telling them I'm interested in them or whatever. I'm not really caring if much happens after that. But like, again, I was like trying to get myself out of my comfort zone and be like, yo, this is a thing. Just want to let you know. I'm just letting you know. You don't have to do anything with it, but I wanted to let you know this. And, you know, them not really knowing what to say with it. But there has been other folks that are just like, you know, I can't see myself being another addition to like the many or whatever relationships you are in or whatever. Like, I just can't see that. And so I'm like, you know, and I respect their wishes, I guess.
But I love that exists, because oftentimes they make it seem like, well, this how niggas gonna be. This how dudes are. And it's like, there's a lot of guys that are like, no, I just want this. Because the way that I found out I was cheated on, the other guy came to me because he felt played because she didn't want to be with him. So he felt scorned. I was like, whoa, guy dudes are coming to the... Whoa, and it was just interesting because like I've been a dog in my previous lives at times. I've been the side guy before, and I felt like the side piece, you got certain rules you're supposed to go with. You don't fall, you don't da 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 da. And he, you know, he's like, no, I just really want to be with her. So when you said that about that guy, no, he's like, it's not just me. Fuck it. I was like,
exactly. Yep.
Take that
and it was fine, because I think for me the biggest thing that I was happy about in that situation was that we still maintained our friendship. There was really no real malice. It was the ideal situation. And I also feel as though I was so relieved, because there's this issue with me. And I know a lot of people, especially when you fall for someone, or like when you have really strong feelings for somebody, even if it's something that you could have avoided, like you've been trying to avoid, but avoiding it just makes it even worse. Like that was the situation I was in. I was just like, I was getting so tired of like not saying anything, that I needed to say something just so that I can have peace of mind of letting them know that they know that this is what's happening. And for me to just get that out, I felt so relieved afterwards. Like anything else, like the sky could have, like an asteroid could have hit Earth at that point and I would have been okay. I'm like, I'm just so happy to be out of this feelings. Like it was so, I felt so much better. And those feelings subsided after a while, because I was finally able to just do that and get it out the way. Even if it wasn't like intentionally, like we didn't have sex, we didn't kiss, we don't do nothing. Like it was just conversation, really raw, really like just, so it was so adult. It was like the most adult thing I had done in my life, and the response be just as adult. So for that, I was...
made me think about, just looking at your reaction to that just made me think about the fact of like we talking about like a relationship being successful, you know what I mean, in modern times. A certain pressure because you had this attraction to this guy that may have even manifested itself as a guilt because you have attraction to this guy. And when you got in a non-monogamous, ethically, of course, space with your boyfriend, to be able to say this to this guy without, you know what I mean, any pressures of feeling like you cheated or you did anything wrong to your boyfriend.
Yes.
He's able to face it, get it off your chest, and even, like you said, and you haven't even do anything. And sometimes something as small as that could stop certain affairs from happening. Because sometimes people get crushes and don't know what to do with them. And
Thank you.
people
Thank
people do
you.
many mess, and that can go all kind of ways, you know, when it comes to that. And there's just that pressure not there of because I know there's been women I've talked to. I thought, oh, this is gonna be the greatest. And then we start talking. I'm like, okay, you're not what I thought this is gonna be. But there's a lot of people in relationships that don't even get to that point to see that person ain't even what they thought. So they build whatever, and then
Exactly.
all kind of stuff happens.
Exactly. There's so many dynamics. It's like, and I've noticed this too, like just within the relationships I've been in, you know, you catch the smallest crush for somebody and you think that, like you were saying, like y'all should be together forever or whatever. No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means that you are attracted to them for this point in time. It doesn't mean that they're a great person that you should be with and that you're compatible with them. It just means that you
Compatible.
are physically attracted to them right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you can pursue that physically if you want, but you need to understand emotionally, this may not be the person for you. And like there's just so many dynamics to it. There's so many people that are married right now that had that inkling, that just found the first person that liked them and got married, and then now, you know, not happily ever after, I should say.
Not happily ever after, and they wondering at times. And I'm gonna even say on the other end, like there's a certain, I feel like if I'm in a non-monogamous relationship and my girlfriend has another guy that she like, what I'm trying to say, that she may have had an interest in, and to see that, oh, that subsided, that's almost like more like I'm still so special because it's like, yeah, that wasn't gonna
Yeah.
work, that's not working, and but we know it. It's like, oh no, this is we work. You know what I
Yep.
mean? There's many reasons why, and even that's almost like you tested it and you still passed the test because not everybody that you want you need to be with or want to be with or will be with.
Exactly. I would
That's two
say
different
like,
parts of you
right. And I think, well, I think I
at
may have
times.
mentioned, yeah, I mentioned this to Dylan, but I was like, there's definitely folks that, like, I'd say, like, sexually, there's a, how can I describe this? I'm thankful, I'm privileged. I feel like I'm privileged in this aspect of being non-monogamous because I can see who I am in the bedroom with different types of people because everybody has different energies, and I almost myself is I'm manifested in different ways with different folks, and it's like what I would do with this person I wouldn't do with another person, and just like I see myself in there. I don't know how to describe it. All I know is that I'm a
I
different
get what you're
person.
saying. There's
Yeah,
parts of you that you're learning that you wouldn't have gotten a chance to learn by only going in this same direction. Even if that
absolutely.
direction is wonderful, perfect, and beautiful, there's other layers to you that I'm sorry that not. It's like even on friendship that's like that. There's certain friends that you just click with, and there's you might tell this friend this thing, you might tell that friend that thing, you might be comfortable with this friend in a different way. That
Yeah,
also happens in whether it's your relationship sexually or if you just have a little friend that you just talk to that's just not your boyfriend, but that's a little flirtatious,
yeah,
you know what I mean? There's like, it's levels. And
yeah,
people don't want to look at that part of their humanity because we've been so institutionalized to believe that that is wrong or that is evil or something's wrong with you if you have this going on. And you're realer if you fight that. You're supposed to just fight that. You're supposed to just eat that. And then we got people 45 years old living together, not even having sex to even really like each other, but they're there to beat up. I don't
right.
want that, man.
There's a suppression in, and I mean, I hate this because, like, sometimes, for some people, monogamy works for them, and I don't want to condemn monogamy for what it is.
Right.
There's certain
But that's
elements of monogamy. I mean, there's safety, there's security
security.
there, I should say too, but there's a lot of toxic things that still fall in what I feel most folks like this the security blanket of monogamy, knowing that. And it's funny because we're supposed to live in a free country,
Quote unquote.
liberations or whatever. You know, we're already, and I think this is what I was mentioning to Dylan on our Patreon episode. Like, I just keep referring back to it because I was like, I feel like I had this conversation, but like, I'm gonna just reiterate it. But like, me being like trying to fight for my liberations as a Black woman, the same principles that I have been like telling white folks, it's the same thing I'm trying to tell folks that are in monogamous relationships. I'm like, this is why being liberated works. This is why doing this, like, you're trying to be in a relationship and you feel uncomfortable when someone that you have claimed has an attraction for somebody else that they couldn't help. Like, it's not like you can't help when you like someone. You can't help
Right.
when you start falling for someone that isn't you. Like, you have to accept that and realize that does not take away from who you are as a person. It doesn't take away.
But when you get taught that love and control is the same thing, and there's a certain narcissism that comes into many relationships that make it seem like, well, if I'm not enough, then you shouldn't be with me. And it's like, it's not about that, because you're going to meet so many human beings in this world. I feel like
So
you
many.
can have about 20, you can have like 20 soulmates in one state for all you freaking know. There's people that you might not even meet, you know? So, and when you get into it, because my thing is this, is what you said earlier. I'm not going to down monogamy. Monogamy works for some people, you know what I mean? But it's like, I'm just trying to show you that this another thing can exist and it's acceptable too. It's like, you know what I mean? We look at bisexual people, how like, you know what I mean? For whatever reason, the bisexual man is freaking thrown under the bus in the black community because, you know what I mean? Black people, black men aren't allowed to experiment with women of all kinds. And, you know, we accept this thing. And all I be saying sometimes is let's just respect everybody. Respect the straight people, let's respect the gay people, respect the lesbians, respect the trans, respect the bi people. The same thing with this. Respect the monogamous, respect the non-monogamous, but I mean, as long as everything's on the level, and that's what it gets to. But that's the circle that gets unfortunate because people are so scared to be on the level because you don't know who sees the world like you. So you know what I mean? Like a lot of people are afraid to admit that I want to be this way because they're afraid to lose the person that they're interested in. So it's just it's a lot. It's a lot. There's so much, man.
Yeah, you go through it. And like I said, like I will say for me personally, I think I had a pretty smooth transition into it. But also I feel like my privilege as a woman, it makes it easier for women to transition into a lifestyle only because there are definitely a lot more non-monogamous men out there for women to choose from than there are for non-monogamous men to choose. When it comes to men, I know my boyfriend specifically, he has had a lot of difficulty finding other partners that are women because it's just like there's more women out there, I guess, that are not nearly as non-monogamous as men. I think that's what it is. It's like very different. Like it's not leveled.
Well, it's funny. It's so many ironies there because on one, you as a woman, yeah, you can get other guys easily because most guys don't give a damn if you got a relationship. If they like you,
right, they don't. They don't.
A lot of women like care about that. Like if you saying you're in a relationship, even if you're saying you're in a non-monogamous relationship, they're like, whatever, nigga, you just trying to cheat. And you know what I mean? That's the double-edged, the double standard about it. Because I remember my first check in the non-monogamy was with the girlfriend at the time. I'm not with her anymore. But we was in a long-distance relationship. And then we decided, well, we might as well be open because I was like, straight up, there's no way you living out there, me living here, I am not going to have sex or do anything with anyone else.
Right. That's not the way you can't suppress yourself like that.
Right. I told, and we had the conversation. So she had her friend out there, had my friend here, et cetera, et cetera. But like we had, but this was my fault at the time, but it was a thing of I would tell women here at the time that I'm single, or I would either say I'm single, or I would say I have a bae out there, but I wouldn't tell them that that's my non-monogamous girlfriend. I'd be like, that's my girl, that's my bae, she important, come. But you know what I mean? Gotcha. I wouldn't necessarily say it's my girlfriend because for whatever reason, if I say there's a boo or a bae, it'll smooth over a little bit because I think they already understand what men out here talking to different women. If I said it's my girlfriend, it was like, nope,
yeah.
You got a girlfriend. You got a girlfriend. And on her end, she don't care, no matter how many dudes I got a boyfriend. She got to say I have a fiance. Them dudes did not care. That's why I laughed when you said that you met that guy that was like, oh no. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, we have a guy that does care. Thanks, guy. You guys are out here. You know, so yeah, I see where your boyfriend's coming from.
I mean, yeah. Again, it's still the playing fields are not leveled still, but like we still get a chance to have fun like together.
Oh no, that's the part. That's the part. Wait, that's the part I want to say. But here's the thing that you're privileged and lucky to have a boyfriend that's not allowing that is open-minded enough to go with the non-monogamy deal. Because there's a lot of guys that are not, like you said about the polygamy angle right now. A lot of guys want to have two girls, but a lot of guys are not cool with their girl dealing with anyone else.
Yep.
That's where you are privileged in that angle too. Not everybody, especially as a black woman.
I guess it's, I know. I mean, I think there's so many facets to it, honestly. Like, not just me being a woman, but me being a Black woman. I don't know what it is about these little dating apps, but like, they want Black women. Like, I know other non-monogamous Black women that have said that they have had no issues finding other partners. Like, it's always really quick for them because men of all different cultures don't care. But I've also found, and thankfully, I think the people that I have chosen to like hook up with, I've always wanted to choose people that are also non-monogamous themselves, because I just didn't want to have to deal with someone, or I should say, like, they've already had non-monogamous experiences, or they even have like their own girlfriend, wife, or whatever. Just because I think for me, when it comes to commitment, and I mean, I'm not going to go completely into detail about like, I'm not going to necessarily ask whoever I'm planning to partner up with, like, so, I think I'm usually curious about if they've had other experiences, but also, are they prone to attaching to someone if this person that they're having sex with is the only person they're having sex with? Because that can be something that's something I'm not looking for. I want to know that this person is also fucking others, so that I don't feel like there's an emotional attachment that is necessarily going to happen. I think for my train of thought and for my peace of mind, I like knowing that I'm not the only one. I don't know what, like, and I know people are the exact opposite. Like, they want to be the only one. I'm like, no, I don't want to be the only one.
Because you already have someone, so you don't need. But that's how I used to be when I was in side nigga mode, because I really felt like, because there was a point in time where I kept meeting women that just seemed like they wanted to be in relationships very fast. So I was like, man, well, at a point, I was like, I feel like I'm either just messing with someone's girlfriend because she has a man, so I don't have to worry about providing anything but the lust aspect. She's attracted. I'm attracted. I don't have to worry about it. That used to be my thing for a minute. I can't front to you. So that's why I understand exactly what you're saying there, because now you're not like, sometimes you're emotionally unavailable for that, but some people aren't self-aware enough to know themselves. I think that's something that we also talked about, I think on my podcast, about like, you got to be aware of what your boundaries are. Like, you have to be aware of who you are, because some people are very in denial. And you got to know. You got to be self-aware.
Yeah.
Especially in this space.
Yeah. I think one of my first experiences, I didn't know my boundaries yet. And I had to let this person know, I don't know what they are yet. So we're going to go until I realize what they are, and I'll let you know. And like, he was the same way, because I think this was like one of his first or second, I don't know how many experiences he had, but like, like, we were just kind of figuring it out together. And from that specific relationship I had with this person, I realized what my boundaries are when it comes to having sex with other folks, because in this instance, he had a girlfriend, a fiance already. And so I'm just like, like, that didn't really raise a red flag to me. I was like, okay, you've already committed to this person. Like, you're literally about to get married to them. But I was like, I don't know, something inside me still said, like, just make sure, like, to continue making sure that the partner that I'm not seeing, his fiance, is okay. Like, making sure that they're okay with it, because like, you're in a transitional period. You're about to go from boyfriend, girlfriend to husband and wife. It's like, I don't want to mess that up. I don't want to mess that up for you. Like, I'm rooting you. I'm rooting you on.
You watch Insecure?
Yeah.
It's like what people was going through when Drowak ass was doing the thing with Molly, and none of us really got to see his wife's side. And we just kept on wondering, like, we see what he's saying, but we just kept wondering, okay, but is it straight? You know what I'm saying? That's the ethical part. That's the ethical part of ethical non-monogamy. Being very clear that everyone involved here are on the same page. Because like you said, for some reason, like when you say fiance, it throws a different flag than boyfriend, girlfriend, or even husband and wife. Because husband and wife sounds, hey, you guys are secure right here. You guys deciding this. Boyfriend and girlfriend, y'all not on no papers, so you guys have been together. You guys are deciding this. But something about when you say fiance, it sounds like, why y'all thinking about it?
You're already in the process of bound to get like you, and so like, exactly.
I can understand. I can understand just the wonder at the very least.
Yeah, and in this situation, it got bad only because like we both started falling for each other, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do at this point. Like, I had to cut it off. I was like, she's not okay with this. Like, she said that she's not okay with this, even though um he was trying to keep me around in order to like still have like some sort of like connection. But I was like, I felt really guilty. I was like, I don't want to be a part. I don't want to be in your relationship at this point, because you should be focusing on this marriage that you're about to go into with your fiance. You should not like, if that's the case, you need to be self-aware enough to realize and admit to your feelings for me, and that is something that he was not able to do. Not well, he's done it with me, but he was not able to do it in full with her. And I was just like, well, then yeah, I
It
can't.
can't work. Because
Yeah,
it's one thing if we all just fall in love with each other and we all just about to have a community. Versus
exactly.
I'm like, we glorify, like it's getting stickier there.
It was way too sticky. So yeah, and that's when I realized with my boundaries, I was like, I realized
Was your
that.
guy aware that you was digging him like that?
Huh?
Was your guy aware that you were
Yes, he knew
guy?
everything. I told him from as it progressed, I was like, this is happening. This is what we said. Like, I showed him all the text messages. I showed him all the Snapchats, like everything that we were doing, like talking wise, like he stayed in the know about everything.
How do you feel?
He was uncomfortable with it at first because the issue was like it happened so fast. And it wasn't enough time for him nor I really to process like where to go, because it was like, this was also like, again, one of the first experiences where this has happened, where either of us have like caught feelings for somebody that was just strictly supposed to be around for sex or whatnot. And so we had to try to maneuver our relationship, our boundaries, to almost accommodate for what was going on with me. And I mean, I had to, wish I could say names, but I can't. I had to make sure that everyone, like everybody, every person was okay with it. And I had to, like, I would always check in with him and just ask, hey, is it okay if I hang out with this person? The thing was actually, like, after a certain point, like, we did a lot of, like, we had a lot of sex at the beginning, and then it just started trailing off as, like, the months kept going. Most of it happened because of quarantine, once quarantine happened, like, it just kind of, cut off, because obviously nobody could see each other. But he got comfortable with it after a while. And the thing was, at least with my boyfriend, was he didn't really have many experiences at that point. And he started feeling better about it once he had his own experiences.
Right.
He didn't have to worry about it as much, and it didn't bother him nearly as much because he was, doing his thing with other folks. So,
but that's the way, because that's how I was able to, even if I hadn't cheated on my girl at the time, it would have been harder for me to process being cheated on. It's like I always kept it 100 with myself. Up, I can't point with bloody fingers. I can't pretend like I don't understand this because I did it. So once he got in the position of having complex feelings for someone else, he can understand the complexities,
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So in a way, if you think about it that way, dang, I never thought about it like that. That's so true. Because that would have probably been the first time. No, that's not the first time, because the first time was with my coworker that I really liked, and I told him about it, and we had to have the conversation about me having the conversation with that coworker to make sure that was all, situated. But I mean, it happened again with this guy, with the fiance. And so, like, kind of, I guess, him understanding where I was coming from with it. When he had cheated on me, he emotionally cheated on me and physically cheated on me with two other people prior. I guess understanding some of the feelings that I was feeling, and that, but again, mine wasn't secret. I told him when it happened. I was like, this is what's happening. Anyway, so.
But here we go. Now you make me take in, that's probably what also gave him a little bit more patience in that situation that you were having. Because he knew you can't pretend like you don't know what that's like if you cheated before.
Yep.
Or if you dealt with anyone else outside of your main person.
Yep. Exactly. So, I mean, he was patient about it, you know, and I think me continuing to keep the conversation going with him and like update him, whether he was ready for it or not. And that was the other thing. I was really meticulous. I would always ask, like, are you okay for me to talk about this right now? Sometimes he may not be. And so, like, I can hold it in, I can write it down and, like, you know, send it to him later. But, you know, I'm also very conscious, not just with him, but with like anybody that I'm interacting with right now. And I feel like this has definitely become a thing now since I've been non-monogamous, but like I'm making sure that people are in the mental space to talk about certain things before I go in and like start spilling everything or like, you know, ranting about something in particular, because sometimes they're not ready for it. And I think even sometimes for them, they appreciate being asked beforehand. Like it's better than like it just kind of happening out of nowhere. And I know in my life growing up, like I've had so, like my parents, mostly my dad, like he did not care if I was sleeping at 3 a.m. He would not even knock on the door. He would just come in and start ranting. And I was just like, really? Like it's one of those things. So like ever since then, I've been so meticulous about like people and like if it's okay for me to even like talk about certain things at certain times. Cause like I know how that feels to just be, you know,
assaulted.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Well, speaking of the boyfriend, I was gonna go spend the night by him, so I'll probably do that soon.
Okay, I'm not trying to hold you up. You feel me? We'll get it in.
Yeah. Well, thanks for talking to me for like what, another, I don't know, how long was this? I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, you got more material.
I sure do. I'm probably gonna put it on my Patreon.
Yeah. Hey, do that.
Put it on my Patreon. I think that's probably gonna be a common thing because a lot of people like to talk to me about non-monogamy, and I could talk about it like all day, all night. So that might just be like where I talk about that a lot. I don't know. Maybe I'll use this. Yeah, we'll see.
The Chronicles, non-monogamy Chronicles.
The Chronicles of non-monogamy. I love it.
Non-monogamy.